What's up? In this episode, we are breaking down features and benefits in cold outreach messages. After this short video, you will never throw in a feature when you really should be mentioning a benefit in order to get that reply. My name's Jack, Chief Lead Generation Officer at salesbread.com. We help B2B companies generate more leads without doing the hustling and grinding that it takes in order to start these conversations with buyers. If you want to hop on a quick brainstorm session, head over to salesbread.com/contact and schedule some time, and I'll show you what's working.
I like the chief officer. That's really cool. I'm Jeremy Chatelain, founder of quickmail.io, a software that helps you automate your cold email and get massive number of replies. So today we suggested that, well, I received a lot of cold email for link building recently. And so I suggested that we're probably going over some of the value proposition of those emails because they're all feature based and they will be so much more powerful if they went to benefits. And I think we're going to show you as we're reformulating some of those value proposition, how that could effectively be way more powerful.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad we threw some up. I was going to shoot you down like a fighter pilot and tell you to throw some templates on the screen, enough theory, but here we go.
There we go.
Okay, so we grabbed some features from linked building outreach. This first one reads, I have some recently created content and was wondering if I can send it over and maybe share it with your audience. Okay, so you might be thinking that doesn't sound like a feature. Feature would be like improve speed by 2% or something. This is a little bit different, but it's still a feature. Jeremy, can you take us to school on why this popped up and said, man, this should have been a benefit? Talk us through why this is a feature, what you saw.
I like what you're saying, that this is probably most people looking at this will say like, yeah, that seems okay, right? It is what they have. They have something and they give it to us. And what you have to ask yourself is that they want to give it to us so that we have experienced the benefit. And this is not clear for that person writing the email, and probably for you if you're actually writing a cold outreach. The benefit is implicit. And you really need to figure out, like for example, I could have a watch and it has, 256 bits of encryption. And I'm going to tell you, Jack, do you want this super watch that is super secure? It has 256 bits of encryption. That is more feature. If you want to drive with benefit, I'm going to say, Jack, do you want this watch? You're never going to be hacked, right? And that is your sort of like benefit. It's like no one really cares about the 256. Actually, this is what Apple did, right? They moved away from all that feature spec that all the PC world were talking about, and they say like, think different, or those sort of.
Or sleep better at night.
There we go.
That you'll never get hacked, right? Maybe even a little bit better. So
yeah, you're the copywriter, obviously here.
So let's talk copy. I just highlighted what I think is a feature here. New content is sort of what they said, right?
Exactly.
But the problem is, to the recipient, you, Jeremy, in this case, who cares? Why should you stop what you're doing and reply to this? So now that we know the problem, are there any other elements of this email that we should address in this teardown, besides recently created content? Anything else that...
I don't know. It almost looked like effectively like I got some stuff, I want to send it to you. But it's ignoring what's my advantage in receiving that.
Good point.
So how we're going to go about this, Jack? How could we actually rephrase it so it's a benefit to me receiving the email?
Yes, I might say, looks like your audience likes learning about, let's say, cold email deliverability. I just interviewed 4 email experts and wrote up their best open rate hacks. open rate hacks. Would you like to see if this would be valuable to your audience? What do you think?
Interesting. I think we're still on the sort of like feature. It is obviously miles better. I don't think there is a discussion about that. But for the benefit, like I would say things like I've been recently writing article to similar blogs as as the quick mail blog, and we managed to generate X number of clicks from it, or we managed to dominate, a keyword niche. I got 3 keywords for you. Are you interested in, a collaboration or something like that? So the benefit to me will be like SEO juice, or it will be like something like specific. Either my audience is super engaged after. It's a bit like what you're saying, Jack, with your mini case study. Like something like, we've been working with company X and then that multiply their revenue by 2, for example. Then here it'll be like the same thing. It's like, I got article that usually convert at X%. Are you interested in, having that? Because then I'll be like, oh, that's interesting. That's refreshing. I want my conversion. I don't care how it's done, but I want it. So here there's, yeah, exactly. Adding some sort of like mini case study to your article, I think will be super powerful. Yeah, something like that's freaking cool. So you're writing, my last article got 25 backlinks for your information. So that, or trackbacks, people willing to link on this article. It's so good. Then I don't care what it's about. It's like, it's a great article. I want it,
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I like how you took your audience cares about this and went a little bit deeper, went 2 levels deeper, where it's like, okay, not only will they like it, but maybe that's where most link builders go wrong, is they just stop at, this is good for your audience, this is relevant for you to post. But if you just kept going a little bit deeper and went to the first analogy of you'll sleep better because this watch makes sure you don't get hacked thanks to 256-bit encryption or something, right?
Exactly.
So we need to go down a little bit further.
Yeah.
All right.
Another example I like to help solidify in the mind of the listeners the difference between a feature and a benefit. Hopefully the watch was kind of a good example, especially like sleeping well at night. But I also like to say maybe, your watch is waterproof, right? And you say like, that is great. Like watch that is waterproof, that's great. But what's really important for the recipient is that you don't even need to remove it from your wrist ever, and you don't need to care about it. You can take your shower, you can go in, you can go in your swimming pool without even having to consciously, think about your watch. So you can get the time anywhere you at, or you can get your notification anywhere you at. And this is really the benefit. Like it's waterproof. It's sort of like the mean to an end, right?
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully it's valuable just to see sort of this thought process, because it's not always straightforward to say, oh, my last article got 25 backlinks. Well, what if it didn't? What if you're starting from scratch? There's always a way that you can get a little bit deeper. You might even say, instead of my last article got 25 backlinks for X company, you could probably say, by the way, if you love the article, I'm happy to do some backlink outreach for quick mail if you end up posting it. So that's something anybody could offer, and it would be, I don't know, a little bit more of a benefit to you.
I like at the same time, I think we're still on the same. Obviously, it's much better, but I think we're still at the same level. So one of the things that I'm thinking is that when we're saying like, happy to give you some of the backlinks of my own website, it still doesn't actually means anything to me. You could even like keep on adding features by saying my website has a domain authority of X, but it still doesn't really help me visualize what that really means for a user or for the recipient. So something that would be more towards people I link to usually receive about 1,000 new visitors each month. Are you interested? So like I mentioned, if you're telling me now that linking on your website will give me like 1,000 more visitors per month, I think this is a benefit. Are you back, Jack? I think we got some technical difficulties. So let me read you what we wrote about the first line. Is I have some recently created content, and I was wondering if I can send it over, maybe share it with your audience. I consider that as just spam. Now, the answer, the one we have, the rephrase that we have from Jack is, looks like your audience likes learning of cold email deliverability. I just interviewed 4 email experts and wrote up the best open rate hacks. My article got 25 backlinks for your information. Would you like to see if this would be valuable to your audience? One of the things that people will do then in this case as a feature base will be to talk about their domain authority, like saying, hey, I will link you on my own domain. This is a domain authority of X. And again, I don't think that will really move me much. But if you say, for example, every time I link someone, they receive an addition of 1,000 visitors every month, and my audience is very aligned with your one, so that will suddenly mean something to me, right? That will be the benefit in having them linking to me, or having a high domain authority will mean more visitors for me. That's my benefit.
So make it concrete. Don't just say, I've got a domain authority of 35. Take it one more step and then make that concrete. So which should bring you, if you're like the other 3 people I just posted with, about 1,000 extra visitors a month or something like this.
Yes, it's like every time ask yourself, so what? Right? It's like if you say, like, if you boast about high domain authorities, like, so what? Like, it's going to bring you, an extra 1,000 visitors. And you could keep on playing this game. It's like, so what? What's the benefit for me? Yeah. Well, a lot of them will probably convert to, potential clients. And then, so what? Then I will make, potentially more money. And so you could say, like, and then after that, you do the sort of like reverse engineering thing. Is like, I can give you more money by bringing you prospect that will likely convert, like I did with, the last 3 articles that I published with Company XYZ.
And this, like I did with the last 3 articles, that's credibility.
Yes.
Right? So it's separate from this benefit thing, but I think we're getting the picture. Let's take a look at the next one unless... Okay, great. Let's do it. Boom. Okay. So again, this is a snippet that we grabbed from another link building email. Let's take a look. It says, I was thinking it would make an excellent addition to quickmail.io/lead generation strategies. It's a link to an article where you mentioned link. I'm sure your audience will appreciate the extra resource on such an interesting topic. There's so much out there.
What's my benefit?
So swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. Why? Because there's nothing concrete and there's no benefit. The feature, let's start with the feature. Adding on to an existing article. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the feature is basically, I have a link, you should add it to your article because it's a great link.
And there's so much out there. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's take it one more step forward and then try and make it concrete. So this benefit really drives it home.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what if, Jeremy, we said 11 other outreach blogs have already linked to us? Is that feature totally unrelated? Talk to me. That's just credibility.
There's no benefit. Yeah, exactly. It's like, what's the benefit here to me? It's like, I don't care that,
Okay, here we go. So pulling something from an earlier podcast episode, throwing a link, I'd be in exchange. I'm happy to promote the article to my Twitter channel that has 11,000 mostly entrepreneurs that follow. Right?
And if you stop here, this is still feature. But if you say that that usually leads in an extra 200 sales. Like for example, let's say, for example, I don't know, you reached out to someone known like Bob Marley, for example.
Jordan Belfort. There you
Yeah,
go.
or Jordan Belfort, probably even better. And then you tell them, add my link, and then I will do a shout on my Twitter account. But even if your Twitter account is like Jordan Belfort, Bob Marley, or whoever you actually want, and it has like millions of users, you have to make sure that this is the same audience. Otherwise, it's like pointless. So again, it's like, that's not a benefit to me that you got 8 million followers. If none of them are resonating with my product, it's pointless. But if you said the last time we did it, we managed to bring to another SaaS business like yours 100 more customers, it's like, now we're talking, I'm ready to try it, let's do it. Right? That's my benefit. Like I'm potentially getting 100 more customers. That's my benefit. Okay. And then let
me try another one here. In exchange, I'm happy to email my list the link to the article so they can check it out. And by the way, the people on my list are typically users of this kind of outreach software, and they opened their wallets. Last promotion I did with X brought them 10K in their first day.
And this is interesting. Right? I think you did both. It's like you did the feature, which is like, who is my list and what they do and stuff like that. But at the end, you say that brought 10K, and that is the benefit. It's like, that's 10K.
I kind of think you have to put some backstory in there. If I just said, if you do this, I'll make sure to send you 10K in the first day, you'd be like, how? You have to explain.
What about this, Jack? If I say, the last time we did a tweet, it brought 10K more revenue to whatever agencies that's similar to you. Is that okay?
Yeah,
do you really need to know that?
The only thing you left out was the kind of audience.
Yeah, but do you really need to? Like, if you know that this is exactly a lead generation that is one of your competitors? Like
you have, well, then that's the way you did that. So I mentioned who's on our list, and you mentioned it worked for a similar competitor, right?
That's a fair point. Yeah, I agree.
So I might also add that not everyone listening will be able to apply those two stats or benefits, right? You may be listening and say, I've never driven a dime for somebody. I can't use that instance. And in that case, you can still look for other options. And maybe we can explore that on the next template, Jeremy. What to do if you don't have a resounding track record?
Well, this is the thing that it's like, for me, it's like finding a reason why things doesn't work instead of trying to find ways to make it work. Look, so if you're a starting agency, of course, you're not going to be able to say, I've been making, 3x on the revenue of the last company I worked with, because this is your first one. So you do the normal strategy. Either you do it for free, or you pay them, or you do some stuff.
Let's go to the third one. It's a perfect segue here. Let's read number 3.
Okay. What's number 3?
Number 3 reads, I'm reaching out to check if you're willing to accept a paid link insertion into one of your old articles.
There we go.
That's it. That's the answer. You have to do something up front. If you don't have a nice track record where you can show that you've brought real benefits to others like yourself, like your prospect, and you may have to go into your wallet and make this happen. But the good news is that is still very much a benefit most of us are willing to entertain. Right?
You know what, Jack? What if this email was saying, in exchange, the only thing I'm asking is you let me know how much traffic I drive, to you. Because then you can use that with your next client and say, this is how much traffic I was able to bring to this, website that is similar.
Help me out. So you're saying still offer a paid link, but then ask them, I just will ask if you share the stats for how much traffic it brings you. Is that right?
Yeah, like something like, for example, add a link to your page. Right. So I say that, Jack. I say, hey, I look at your blog. It's awesome. Would you accept paid link? As in, I'll give you a link. You add it to your page. In exchange, I will do one thing, and I will ask you to do one thing. What I will do is I will shout it to my audience, for example. Maybe I have a Twitter audience or YouTube or whatever. Even you could potentially do paid ads, right? And the only thing I will ask in exchange is you tell me how much I managed to drive to your page. how many people I managed to drive to your page. Does that sound
Okay.
fair enough?
So you're still paying and you're just getting some stats behind it so that you could use it for your next outreach, right?
I'm paying.
Yeah, that's smart.
And I will try to drive traffic to you, and I will only ask you that you let me know in a month's time how much traffic I brought to you, and that way I can use that for other people by saying like, I'm not going to pay you as much, but this is how much I actually drive traffic, or like, then you do it in exchange. You don't actually talk about like paid links anymore.
Yeah,
but that's
exactly.
a way
Once you
to
have
sort
that
of like
case study.
exactly get that case
So
study.
the idea here is to pay once or twice, but then after that, you'll start to stack the deck in your favor, assuming that you can bring a benefit to these people that
Deliver
accept,
results,
right?
of course.
Like it, Jeremy. All right, what's next? Number 4. Snippet reads, I just wanted to ask you if you'd be interested to mention our blogs in your blog post. Okay, so
Nope.
this one we really dug up in the trash.
Nope.
Really
Next.
not trying here. Really trying hard not to try in this outreach.
Oops, sorry, let me take it back. Yeah, for sure. I'll be happy to, go there. Just send me everything you have and, I'll obliged. It will never happen,
Nope.
right?
Yeah, right.
We're
so
too busy.
Let's help this person out here.
All right.
Scroll up a little. There you go. Now, we've taken the paid approach. We've taken the I'll send you paying customers in the form of lots of traffic that's relevant. In this, let's take a slightly different tact here. What if, Jeremy, your aim was at the end of the day to add to your business in terms of revenue? But let's say your primary goal was to have the best article on cold email deliverability on the internet.
I
right?
will stop you right there because that would mean the best SEO article, meaning it brings traffic. Otherwise, there's no point.
Perfect. There you go. So your primary goal, though, is to own that article, to be the best
Exactly.
SEO article on cold email deliverability. Very good. So if that's the case, and I was this cold email deliverability expert, and I carefully read through your article, and I pointed out 2 things that you've missed. And I even wrote up the entire piece with screenshots and walkthroughs that you can just copy and paste into that because you missed a crucial step that I've seen, and I've got case studies to back it up. And if you decide to do this, you totally optional, but you can just link back to me as a credit. But I just gave it to you right there that you can really use to get the number 1 best article in that.
Not bad. Here's where my thinking goes. We have on QuickMail probably the best cold email guide. If you go to quickmail.io/cold-email, you're going to come to one page that has 12 different chapters from A to Z when it comes to cold email. And we cover pretty much everything on this page. But like you say, maybe you could come back and say, hey, look, Jimmy, this is a chapter on deliverability that I think will really add value and help you maybe move a few spots up in the SEO world when it comes to the best article on SEO. Here's the article and here's the actual chapter. So it will need to be more than snippet. And then you could say, full disclosure, in this chapter, I added one link that...
It'd have to be a whole chapter. No, I think if I gave you a section to add to a chapter that really was valuable with screenshots, with the how-to, with everything it needed, but
for me it's a chapter. But if you send me 3 lines, there is little chances that it will be that valuable for the article specifically.
Okay.
But I think we're on the same line, and it will need to be a lot of value to go through the efforts of coming in. And again, the value will be in benefits. It's like, I'll be amazed if you don't gain like 1 or 2 spots on this keyword specifically because you happen to be number 6 at the moment. And I'm sure with those, that extra thing, I wouldn't be surprised you gain 1 or 2 more spots.
There you go.
That could be interesting.
It sounds like there's a couple of avenues link builders can take. There's the paid approach, which is the least creative, but like Jeremy mentioned, maybe do it only once. because then you can leverage other stats. Then there's the case study. This is what we've done for other companies that link to us in terms of promotion, revenue. And then finally, there's I'll call it the hustle avenue, where you actually go and you do a lot of upfront work for this person so that they can help reach their end goal, which is the benefit that you're providing them, which is fix your deliverability chapter so that you can get the number one performing SEO article for deliverability or whatever that is, right? So
here's another one that people can use in terms of value upfront. Very often, SaaS are not just created by native speaker, English speaker, like shocker, I know, but I'm not an English native speaker. So obviously I do a lot of mistakes, and that shows in the article I write. So if you come back to me, Jack, and you say, hey, Jeremy, I noticed a few spelling mistakes and, sentence of expression that are not necessarily, that are not like native English speaker. I actually rewrote the entire article as is, so you can just copy paste it. But yeah, the only thing that I added, the only thing I ask in exchange is, a link to a website. It's about
your proofreading
XYZ.
service.
Yeah, proofreading
Right.
service.
Yeah, so I'm slightly hesitant. I don't want someone listening to say, okay, great, I'm gonna just disappear for a whole day, put it all into rewriting this person's so-and-so chapter, whole article, and then send it and cross my fingers. I think it would be tragic for someone who's listening to waste a whole day really doing a crazy amount of work. I'm saying do a moderately crazy amount of work. Moderately crazy.
Yeah,
a section of a chapter, pointing out some grammatical errors and rewriting sections that need it, as opposed to the whole damn thing. That's my only concern here. But other than that, I mean,
I hear
the
you.
idea- yeah.
What about this, Jack, then in this case? It's like, hey, we're professional proofwriters, or we're really good at that. We notice there's plenty of where we could improve the terminology or the expressions on that massive blog article. What do you say we actually, write it in perfect English for you, and the only thing we ask in exchange is, a link to our product.
There you go. There you go. And to make it a little bit better, it would be nice to see if there was a video that said, like, for example, in this paragraph, you wrote X. Professional proofreaders would change it to XYZ. I noticed a couple more in the following sections. Here, 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 and here. Would you like us to? Boom,
You know the thing, Jack, is like I'm slightly wary every time we point to errors or to failure to people. I try those campaigns, they never work. It's like catch with, a fly with vinegar. It never really works. But if you frame it the other way around, which is like we can make it so much better by improving some of the grammar and some of the expression, you don't really say you got a problem here, here, and here.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, I think that's you who mentioned last time we talked about this type of campaign that you don't want to show it to your boss because you don't want to look bad,
Yeah, so it may work if you reach out to the founder because, I mean, Jeremy, I know you take criticism, on the chin. It's not a big deal. You would probably be fine with that, but you're not
I
the
would be,
average
but not everyone. Yes,
person.
exactly.
Correct. So the ways I've worded that is, look, your article's already ranking in the number 7 spot for a really competitive keyword. Kudos.
I love it.
And did you know it's probably, biggest room for easy improvement is grammar. I mean, somebody can come in and show you X and Y, and I'm happy to do that. Just say yes. And if you think I wowed you with the proofreading, kindly share a link and, we'd be honored, and just tell me to go.
Booyah, mic drop. That was perfect
yeah.
copywriting. I see the benefits right away. I'm going to rank up in SEO. This is low. This is low effort for me. Man, when do you start, Jack? When do you start?
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, we start with the final snippet here. Let's go back to tearing down features, turning them into meaningful benefits here. The last snippet reads, our team at company has recently come up with an article topic, quote, turn your prospects into loyal customers through email marketing.
We probably forgot the rest, but it's probably like, do you want us to send it to you? Something like that.
There you go. Do you want us to send it to you? Perfect. Okay, so ways that we can take this into a benefit. So I find myself having to jump through 2 hoops. So the first one is like, why is this cool? it's cool because we've already got 13 different sites in your space that have liked it enough to tweet about it or post a link to it, which means, you know, you linking to this will, I'm thinking, help further establish QuickMail as the authority on cold email. Hit me, Jeremy. What are some of these
So
avenues here?
yeah, what I'm thinking here is that what you could be saying whenever, okay, this is something you can use link builders out there. If you're sending something like that to me, like, hey, I got this topic article for you. Are you interested? This is zero interest for me. But if you frame it again, think about it. If people are doing content marketing, it's because they want their content to rank, which means they want more traffic. So if you hit me with like, I got an article called XYZ, it will rank for this particular keyword, and I know your site doesn't at the moment. So it's easy traffic for you. If you add this link, you know, then you will have more chances of ranking for those particular keywords. Are those keywords something you're interested in ranking for? That's like,
Okay, so
man, that's
so
great. It's like zero
so
risk
help me
for
out.
me.
So I need to cross this bridge. So you're saying if you link to it, that alone would help you rank for a particular keyword? Is that how this stuff works?
No, I'm thinking that in this case they built the article and they're trying to guest blog on my
Got you.
on my
That's
blog.
right. Okay.
You're
I
right.
like it. So think about another thing. You could imagine a lot of content marketers want to see their blog to be the authority on X topic. And part of that means that you're posting the latest stuff. It's kind of like if you had a breaking story for CNN that nobody else had, you could probably use that news angle in order to get it featured on CNN, right? So you might say, look, I just put this case study together. I tried out a brand new tactic using X that nobody's seen before. I'd like it to be featured in QuickMail first because once this gets out, it's basically going to be the end of this tactic because it's so effective. Everyone's going to want to start doing it. If that's not really your thing, there's two other players in the space I could share this with, but I chose QuickMail first because I love the podcast.
So that's a
and
good
take
one.
the news angle.
Yeah, the other that could work. The other thing I'm thinking of is that you make it an exchange, a fair exchange in a sense. It's like, can you add me this link? I'm currently building an article for Forbes, and I'd like you to link QuickMail. So it's like a link for link, but it's not on the same domain. And I think that works pretty well because if this is the same domain, they usually negate each other. So you could say like, I'm writing an article on Forbes on the best cold email outreach. I'd like to link QuickMail. What do you say? You link to one of our current article. I think your audience will get a kick out of this because it complements very well this specific article. Hit me if you're up.
Yeah.
It's a simple yes, add a link, and then we'll send you traffic. That's basically the value props.
All right, I think link builders out there should have some ideas to chew on.
That's right.
Quite a few. And it's nice to hear that as you look more into how can you turn this into a benefit, you start going down different avenues that are radically different approaches compared to, would you like me to share the article with you? That's been played out, right?
Yes, and I had another thought, which is currently the link building industry is very, very low. The what do you say? The playing field is really low. So all you need is to sparkle a little bit of benefit. Suddenly you're like way up there. So I would say if you're in the link building space right now, there is easy ways to improve your game. And that may not be the case once people actually start catching up. But right now, I would definitely advise, look at the benefits from the point of the recipient. And hopefully this cast gave you some ideas like Jack mentioned.
Well said, Jeremy. Thanks for a great cast. If you want more on how to do outreach well, you should check out the masterclass Jeremy and I put together. Course at quickmail.io shows you what we know about cold email outreach. If you want to do a brainstorm session to find out what's working with outreach, lead generation in the B2B world, head over to salesbread.com/contact, and I'll tell you what's going on in that world. Jeremy, thanks, man.
Booyah. Thanks, Jack. Great
Booyah.
cast.